Well, hello, hello. Hope everybody is doing well. This is our May edition or meetup or whatever you want to call it of the Southern Fried DNN. So welcome everybody. If you're joining us live, thanks for joining us. It's good to see all the familiar faces and some new faces as well. If you are joining us via YouTube or southernfrieddnn.com, thank you for tapping in and getting some good content here. We've got a good one in store today. I will go ahead and share my screen and we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll jump into a few other things. Today we're going to have Benny Sue, and we'll do a formal introduction here in just a little bit, but he's going to be talking a little bit about I guess a use case kind of what something he was built using Ionic. And we've all heard of that one before a little bit. So that would be nice to see how that ties into DNN. So this is a story of DNN and Ionic. So we'll jump into some of the details on that. I'm excited myself because it's kind of my world too. So excited to see that. First of all, I guess we need to thank our sponsors. As always, southernfrieddnn.com is, we host that with manage.com. So thank you very much to manage.com for continuing to support the DNN community in that way and letting us host our site there. And we also use several of the modules of Mandeeps. So thank you to mandeeps.com for continuing to support us in that fashion. Let's see here. Ryan, did I miss any sponsors? I don't think I did. Okay.
No, that's good for now.
As far as, is my screen showing, by the way? I don't
Yes, you're good.
right. Okay, excellent. Sorry, I'm having a few technical difficulties. I switched a few things around here today, so I'm not got my bearings here yet. As far as community announcements goes, I kind of want to open it up to a few people just to see if there's anything on their front, that's going on in the community that I am not aware of. I have been so busy this last month that I feel like I don't have my finger completely on the pulse of everything that's going on in the DNN community. I have seen in the DNN community Slack, as well as a few other channels, that there are some new people popping up, that are brand new to the DNN platform. They either gotten into a job that they've inherited a system that they need to work on. I just saw somebody post today in the DNN community Slack about, I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday, about being new to the platform and in a new job. So it's really nice to see some new people coming in. So be sure to, those of you that are veterans in the community, be sure to wrap your arms around them and hug them and thank them for joining in and help them any way they can, because sometimes it can be a little bit daunting to navigate some of those initial early days, but we're here as a community to help. So you just let us know. Let's see. Going around the room just a little bit here. I'm going to follow my blocks of people on the Zoom call here. Daniel Vladas, do you have anything that's like going on in your world that you're aware of in the community over the last month that we could highlight? Or
we are working hard on a new file manager. It's not yet ready for testing, but it should be pretty soon. Which will include a list view, make everybody happy with that.
yeah.
We're actively looking for people who use the file manager in a group mode. If anybody has social with file management, please ping us up.
Yeah, and the file manager is being built off of the DNN Elements project, right? Or a lot of the components that are in it are being used in that. I think we've highlighted that a couple of times the last few months, but definitely good to bring awareness to that. Just to add a little bit of color to what Daniel was saying about the group mode. If you're using the social features in DNN and you have actually used the file manager or the new resource manager in group mode. So if you've set up a social group and turned on that to a group mode and then place that on a page so that you can have file sharing capabilities with groups, we're definitely interested in knowing a little bit more about what is the expected behavior there. Because we don't know. So it'd be nice to wrap our head around that. There's some weirdness to the way the code is done there that causes a little bit of confusion from our perspective, just kind of looking into it. So I know Daniel would appreciate any insight. I think Sebastian Leopold said he had some experience with that and is going to help a little bit. One of the things that Daniel is working on, well, I guess we're working on trying to package, get it to where the new resource manager is able to be packaged up in a way that people can test it and use it. So we don't have the build process in that state just yet, but that's kind of the next thing on our agenda, that and a few other things. But as soon as we do that, we would definitely welcome testing in all regards, not just the group mode stuff. So if anybody's interested in that, let us know. And just for anybody that's interested, right now that is being developed on the Daniel's fork of DNN platform, just because we can better manage the issues outside of the DNN platform issues right there. And when it gets to a certain state, it'll be put over into the DNN platform repo for a little bit more visibility and all in there, but it's just a little bit easier to handle it in a fork for now because we can issue manage a little bit better. Let's see, going around the room, let's see, Helene, you said something about, and I know you're off camera, so you may not be available right now, but you had mentioned some cool things that are happening in your world. I don't know if you want to comment on that on live here or not.
Yeah, sure. Also just been working on migrating our DNN instances to a host outside of our company, as well as looking at different block modules to replace our existing ones. So yeah, just been busy on that front, doing things there.
Fantastic. That's cool. Let's see, Benny, I know you'll be talking a little bit, but is there anything going on in the community that you'd like to highlight that's not a part of your presentation?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Aaron, anything cool? I know there's always something cool in your world. You're always like working on the bleeding edge. I saw something about some localization stuff you were doing earlier. It's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I mean that's not bleeding edge, but yeah, that's more struggling with some multilingual stuff. But yeah, no, actually, the only thing I was just thinking about was something you mentioned earlier, which was seeing new names kind of pop up in the DNN community, and so that was really cool. It's just nice to see, yeah, some new people kind of showing up, asking questions, and they look like they're brand new to DNN, which is kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it's kind of cool seeing that this past week with a few, and I'm like, oh wait, I haven't thought about the basics, stuff in so long. So it's like, okay, I got to remember, okay, that this is not all obvious stuff, for somebody coming in new to it. So it's really nice to see the new folks coming in. And I know you published a few blogs recently. Are there any that you'd like to highlight, or videos that you've done? I know you've done a couple of those as well.
Oh, I'm trying to remember which ones those are. Yes.
I guess I could pull up your site and we can refresh our memory on what you've done here or something.
Sure, yeah.
That would probably be on the blog though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Is it blog?
/blog.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. So the last one I did was, I was really excited about this brand new, completely 2SXC page. That's a mix and match for creating annual reports. So I did a whole video showing, not only the final page, but how those content editors can mix and match and use presentation settings and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, pretty excited about that whole.
Is there a link to the actual site? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, let's see. I was going to pull this up. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it's pretty neat because it's just every single thing is a 2Sexy app. There's about 16, I want to say. Even the navigation is an app, and so they can go in and they can swap out the background images, and they can choose button colors, video modals, or modal windows are optional. Like there's a lot of optional things and then some things that are required. They can even switch out those icons through drag and drop, and it handles it all for them. So the neat thing is that next year they can just spin up a new page using the DNN page template thing. It will just drop all those apps onto the page, and then they can just go to town. They can actually reuse the same modules, so they're not, and they can reorder them in any way they want. This is a custom little scroller thing that we made. Yeah, those are actually groups. So you have cards in a group through the use of sub entities. And there's different presentation options, so you can actually choose. You can choose the background colors and all that kind of stuff. They uploaded their own animated GIFs and all that kind of thing. Yeah, and I went to the effort of creating in Too Sexy content. For those who are familiar, you can actually set preview thumbnails for each of the apps. So all 16 apps have a preview thumbnail as well as their templates. I think most of these are just single template ones because it's all presentation options, but yeah.
Going the extra mile for the user experience there, I see.
Yeah, I mean, this was a tough one design wise because it's just a lot of very, very custom layouts, but luckily we're using Tailwind in this case. So yeah, that was not too bad.
So Tailwind, CSS, DNN, 2SXC, and anything else of noteworthiness there?
I think there's like count up, which is that near the top of the page, there's like a count up sort of thing. I think we passed earlier where the numbers actually count when you scroll past them.
Oh yeah, yeah, the animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to refresh it to see it do it again, but yeah, that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. It's good to see how other people are using a lot of the tools in the DNN community. So thanks for doing that on the spot there without any prep.
No worries. Thanks for sharing it.
That's really nice, Aaron.
Thank you.
Very, very beautiful, very responsive, and looks great. Let's see. Next, Steve, I know you're off cam, but is there anything that's going on in your world that you'd like to highlight?
I guess the main thing is I've been doing a lot of testing of the new versions of Too Sexy, looking for bugs and reporting bugs, and that's been good. I'm hoping that I'm going to run out of bugs soon. I'm also like the idea you had, David, of having a forum talking about various ways of doing things with modules in Too Sexy and etc. Because we've got a lot of tools at hand, and sometimes the big challenge is to decide which one to use for a project. So it'll be interesting.
I've been trying to get my head around that, Steve, how we would actually format that. That would be really fun to kind of get some different perspectives on, do you approach things from a custom extension development perspective, or do you approach it from a structured content perspective, or do you buy commercial modules and cobble them together? Do you mix any of those kinds of things? And what are the use cases that make that a clearer decision than not? Or is it more of a, well, this is just what I know, so this is what I do kind of thing? That would be really great to have a roundtable kind of discussion on that kind of stuff. So I know a lot of people, they're like, well, I've seen this and I've seen that, it looks really cool, but like, why would I want to do that when I do it like this? All that.
And it probably depends on the size of teams that are developing things. Whether you're like me, who is more or less a one-person show, and that other people who are lucky to have a whole team to work on projects. There's probably things that work better in each case.
It's true. It definitely plays into the role, into the equation with that kind of stuff, because some people don't like for that not to be in source control, for instance, and some people don't know how to do it in source control when they're doing something like 2SXC. It's like, because that's not trivial. So yeah, it would be nice to talk about that. Yeah, thanks. Help me remember to make that a priority. I've been so busy, like I was saying earlier, that it's just been hard to kind of find time to do some of these fun little things like that. But if we can find some, time where it's available with a few people in the community that's interested in this topic, we can get on a big Zoom and do a live stream and have a good time, chatting about that stuff and debating it. Great. Okay, let's see. Going on around the room, only a few more here to go. Mark Dilsing, good to see you, man. Anything you have going on? I know we're going to talk a little bit about DNN Summit. Maybe you can chime in on that now if you'd like. Ryan, not to steal your thunder on that.
Yeah, no, I was going to say we let Mark talk about it.
Has Ryan been assimilated?
That's what I was wondering myself. Mark.
Yeah.
You do.
Still right now?
Oh, no, there you go. You cleared up.
Okay.
That
No,
was weird.
I don't have anything. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. So.
Oh, so, I'm sorry. I was asking Mark Dilsing. Did you want to say anything about?
Mark, the other Mark.
Well, I'll briefly say that yes, we have been talking about the next DNN Summit and making some plans. The date has been roughly decided on, hasn't been announced yet, but know that there's not going to be much of a surprise there. And I would like to leave it to Ryan to talk about the swag part. I think that's the part that he is acutely interested in.
Sure thing. Well, I felt like, yeah, especially if my audio is okay. I felt like that at this point we've set on a date. It's not been announced yet, but if you are marking your calendars, you can look for that first full weekend in February for 2023 to be when we're planning to do DNN Summit again. And again, you know, because it feels like we just wrapped up DNN Summit for 2022, but you know, to officially announce, there will be announcements and updates put onto the website soon, but it is planned to again be a virtual conference. So we'll be using the Hopin platform, and we'll be having all of those sessions go through. I believe that the intent is to have them recorded again and have them present for the people who are going to be watching and attending the conference, but then to watch after the fact, because that is one of the nice benefits. We've been doing DNN Summit for so many years now, and you thoroughly enjoy it, but you can only get to one conference session at a time, and when you're there in person, and it's a really nice benefit to be able to go back and watch all of the sessions that you missed before. It increases the value of the material that you take away from the conference. So that's although I thoroughly enjoy in-person conferences, and I'm looking forward to when we get back to those, I really do appreciate the benefit of being able to watch these recorded sessions after the fact. So yeah, we're cooking up some new excitement new exciting things during the COVID time period, and the switches that we did there for 2021 and 2022. We weren't really sure what to do about swag. For me, I love going in person. I love getting flyers and brochures and tchotchke and swag and material from vendors and from folks who, even if it's a flashlight with a name on it, I love getting these types of items. And so I'm excited that we will be having swag as part of the conference this year. So we're working through the details now, but there are some fulfillment companies who do those kind of value boxes and themed boxes. And we're basically going to put together a DNN Summit box so that when you sign up for DNN Summit, you might get a shirt, you might get a glass or a mug, you'll get some stickers, you'll get some different items, and we may put together a little bit of a social promotion contest out of that. So stay tuned. We're putting together some fun ideas right now, and as always, DNN Summit's about fun and it's about learning. So we're pulling those things together here now.
I just wanted to let you know, Ryan, that the food at DNN Summit this year was outstanding.
Was out of this world.
It was amazing. Every meal was 5-star. I mean, it's too bad you missed it.
I saw the stream from Will's room, and I know that at least he got the party started.
Well, that was good. So I guess that's a good segue. I mean, it's exciting to see that things are evolving a little bit more as we navigate the new virtual world on this. I know everybody's anxious to get back in person and all that too. So it's neat to see things evolve over time and adapt. So thanks, Mark and Ryan, for talking about DNN Summit. I guess probably in the same context, we probably should mention DNN Connect, which is going on in Millau, France, on June the 30th through July the 3rd. I think you can still register for this and go. And I know of quite a few people stateside that are actually going as well over there. But that's always a fun conference. It's very different than the DNN Summit conferences, but so much fun. A little bit more on the social side, but also maybe even a bit heavier on the technical side, as far as the content of presentations and things like that, just because of the makeup of people that are presenting at that conference and stuff. So I've already heard some really exciting ones there, as well as potentially presence from the new DNN Corp folks, Ignite Tech. So yeah, hopefully we're getting them back in swing too, in a sponsorship capacity and all that. But yeah, if you have not seen this or not known about it, please go to dnn-connect.org. I think without the hyphen it works as well. And check out the events page there. And then if you are going, be sure to, consider presenting at it, because I think they're still looking for speakers for that event there. But it'll be a good time. Let's see. I was looking over in the chat while Ryan and Mark were talking a little bit about DNN Summit, and Aaron, you're absolutely right. We probably should mention the stuff that happened around May 4th for 2SXC, and they've got a new setup. And let me see if I can find that blog here real quick. That's a good highlight. They've kind of shifted their model just a little bit in a way to cater a little bit more towards some more features for those that need those advanced features, and can help also support the open source project. So they launched this patrons program, or whatever you want to call it, through that, where you can use GitHub sponsors to be a patron of 2SXC, and you get some great extra features. So you can go out on the 2sxc.org and go to the blog section and see this post. There's some great features here, it looks like. And basically the way it works, the way I understand it so far, and I haven't had time to dig too deep into it, so Aaron, feel free to correct me if I misspeak here. But essentially, when you're sponsoring via either sponsoring, the way I understand it, you can sponsor 2SXC, the organization on GitHub, or Daniel Metler individually, and those both count as credits towards this. And then you have a bank of credits essentially that you can apply to instances of 2SXC where you want some of these extra bonus features in there, and each feature has an equivalent credit amount that can be applied to do that. At least that's the basic premise. Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah, that sounds exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a neat model. We'll see how it pans out. I've seen some creativeness over the years of people trying to monetize open source projects. And I get the vibe of this as not really a pressure to monetize it as much as it is to, it's just so easy when something's open source to just be a consumer of it and forget that, oh, there's people that are spending countless hours, doing this. And yeah, they may use it as their company, and they built, that in that way, but they're doing an incredible service of making that freely available to others on that. And it's just so easy to not support that effort, through monetarily speaking. So I thought this was a creative way to provide that mechanism, and also provide some benefit to those that are doing that in turn. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Okay. Let's see, going back around, Mark Saunders, did you say you had anything or know that you wanted to highlight? Okay. Jeremy, thanks for joining us. Good to see you, man. Did you have anything that you'd like to highlight over the last month here?
Nothing, just lots of cool stuff going on at work, but the two that I want to talk about are actually in categories where I should not talk about them because of who the client is, and I don't know. So lots of too sexy stuff lately, though, that we're playing with, trying to learn some of the new stuff and trying to figure out. I've actually got a project where I'm going to turn on this light speed caching and as a patron thing, and I'll hopefully report back on that. If someone does it first, let me know if you can save me some time, because so far I really haven't figured out how this stuff works, but
well,
I did get in there.
I think, Jeremy, that means that we give you an extra month or two after you've done it, and then you bring it back to us as a presentation.
He's always working that
like
angle,
that.
isn't he, Jeremy?
Well, you know
job,
me,
right?
I volunteer towards that angle.
Mm-hmm.
I like that angle. It's fun to show off stuff. So hopefully we'll get that sorted out. Only like slight negative thing, not to be negative. I probably shouldn't even say it, but now I started. So I was sponsoring Too Sexy before they did the patron thing. So of course my policy is always it can't hurt to ask. I asked, could my previous patron style contributions to Too Sexy be counted as credits? And he actually said no. So it couldn't hurt to ask, but I got told no. So all the money I gave before this started doesn't count towards my credits, but that's okay.
I guess
it's
to
kind of
shine a
like
little bit
water.
light on that was probably a situation where it was a sponsored, like for a specific thing. Is that what you're saying, or were you just a GitHub sponsor?
No, I was just a GitHub sponsor.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a 50-50, and I love telling people my policy, my business management style is it can't hurt to ask. So I asked.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had to look back for sure, but I think I may have gotten credit for 1 month, but I think that was just because that's the start time or whatever they did it. So it may not even have been a credit, but I didn't see any of the old sponsor dollars, count as credits either. So I just didn't ask.
Yeah,
but you're
no
right.
worries.
It can't hurt to ask. Right?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about the whole thing. I think it's a neat idea because, he heavily seems to be pointing out that it's features that not everyone needs, corporate style or higher end features. And I don't know. I just thought it was weird that conversation erupted on Facebook that kind of made it sound like it might have a nefarious outcome, and I don't buy into that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see. So I guess we've gone around the room now. We've used up about 30 minutes of time. I guess I will highlight one thing I just remembered that I did over the last month. I did an interesting live stream where I talked about the rubber duck method, and I'm actually wearing the shirt today for the rubber duck method. If you're not familiar with it, go check out this the live stream out here. It's actually a good one because it's not technical really
and
at all.
Don't forget, if anyone needs one, I can send them the Acuity labeled rubber ducks.
Oh,
Nice.
sweet.
That's swag. We should have that come into the DNN Summit box for next year.
Resistance is futile, Ryan.
I got
do I
a
sound a
box
robot now?
of about 100 more of them still.
But yeah, so yeah, if you get a chance, check this out. You can go out to dnndave.com and check that. If you don't mind subscribing to the YouTube channel, if you're not already there, and see some of that. I really have so many plans for some live streams coming up and just have not had the time to do that. Of course, always check out dnncommunity.org for the latest going on out there in the forums and all the various areas. I saw a post by, I think it was Don Gringold, about checking out these website metrics on a regular basis. And this is something I've been guilty of not really doing, but he was pointing out it's really interesting to see this from time to time out here. You may not even know this exists, but it's a really powerful little thing just to see kind of what activities going on in a particular period of time. How many people are visiting the site and stuff like that. And you may be surprised that, yeah, we have a lot of traffic, coming to the site. And this is just over the last few days, right? So taking a look at the last 3 months, for instance, pretty interesting numbers here. I pulled them up earlier and it's going slow now, but yeah, there we go. So, visitors, over 30,000 in the last 3 months. So that's pretty interesting to see that. You may not realize that there's just a lot of people out there in the community or that are using DNN that are looking at these resources that are being put out there, but they're not actively, involved in our community Slack or on Facebook or whatever other channels that you operate in. So yeah, it's nice to take a look at this every once in a while and see how that's going on. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and shift gears over to our presenter for today, which is Benny Sue. And I won't say a whole much about you. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit, but I know Benny works with Aaron quite a bit and does a lot of development on them, and really looking forward to what he's talking about today. And I'll just turn it over to you, Benny, and I'll stop sharing. You're welcome to share and introduce yourself and go with it.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen here. Okay, and everybody see okay?
Yep, sure can. Seeing it good.
Okay. All right. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Benny Sue. I spearheaded the backend developments of FoodX Mechana. Well, we've been mostly known for front-end works and for UI and front-end designs. We also actually do web development and sorry, move some of the things away. Okay. Yeah, we also architect and develop custom modules as well as hybrid apps using Ionic. In terms of DNN module development, so if everyone still remember this logo, that's a logo I see when I first started with the DNN development back in 2009. For a few years, I worked on creating custom modules for Pass.org, which is a nonprofit user community organization similar to DNN community. They have around 300,000 users, 200 plus user groups globally. And I work on a lot of stuff that supports managing that whole organizations, and with supports on their annual summit event registration as well. And recently, I worked on and deploy a set of teacher resources ordering modules that integrates across multiple portals and systems outside of the DNN. I've also worked on custom map modules for airports, even a prescription drug lookup module that caches over 22,000 prescription drugs in the client side for fast searching. And so for the subject of today, I created FoodEx a little bit before COVID-19 started. As a cafe owner myself, I see the problems facing the restaurant owners with those big third-party delivery company. So that's why I sort of created FoodEx. It's aimed to provide digital solutions to allow restaurants to be able to manage their menu online, accept payments, and improve operation efficiency. And with those goals in mind, it needs a sort of a variety of different sort of websites and applications working together to provide a seamless solutions to restaurant owners and their customers. So first of all, we'll need a company websites for marketing purposes, and then we'll need something that provides a consistent user experience for the customer to place an order, whether they are on a mobile app or on a desktop computer or even on their mobile browser. And restaurant owner will also need to make changes to their menu, check their restaurant performances and download reports. And within the restaurant premise, the staff actually needs to be able to see the order and customer information when people place an order, and they will be able to sort of accept and complete those orders. And there are also operation managements that are required to handle when there's a order and payment issues, and when there's a complaints from a customer and stuff like that. So in terms of the DNN, DNN itself has a powerful backend to create APIs, and it comes out of the box with user and role managements necessary to be able to manage the permissions. Too Sexy is also a good way to create structured marketing content. And lastly, DNN backend is very easy to be able to integrate with third-party services. So for example, like Stripe for payment and Twilio for text messages and voice calls. So what I did is for the DNN, for the marketing and the company websites, and I created that with just the standard DNN site with the Tailwind theme. It's set up with 2 sexy modules and some contact us form, so I can switch it over. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, so this is the marketing site, and it's built with 2 sexy and some contact us form, pretty standard DNN stuff. And get back here. And for the merchant portal, it's also built on top of DNN. And so this is because for privacy reasons, so I'm only going to show some sort of a mock data in here. I'm not going to show any actual customer information. But this is the portal. When the restaurant owner log in, they will be able to go through. Sorry, I think it got kicked out. Okay. Yeah. So this is the menu screen where they would be able to sort of reorganize their menu for different items that in the different category, and they will be able to manage the different categories on their menu item. They would be able to create and update item descriptions and pricing, and they also be able to sort of manage those different modifiers and modifier groups, and they can also be able to sort of pull their reports and performances. And so that's what I use the DNN, the typical DNN a portal for those two. And in terms of building, let me switch back to here. And for Ionic framework, it started with Cordova, but it's been evolving to establish as one of the best way of doing cross-platform mobile development. If you know HTML and CSS, then you can quickly be able to create mobile apps with those skills. You don't have to learn any platform-specific languages. Not only it's capable of building mobile apps, you can also build towards a web platform, such as a progressive web app, all in a single code base. And before version 5, it supports Angulars and Stencil, but now it supports popular JavaScript frameworks such as React and Vue. And so what I did with that is I used the Ionic with the Angular to build the FoodEx mobile app for ordering. So the customer can place their order using that app. It's built with Tailwind CSS, and it authenticates directly against the DNN login. So it communicates with the DNN backend to be able to get the menu and ordering information. There's also a restaurant order management app that's been used within the restaurant premise. Typically they have a tablet set up in the restaurants where when there's an order coming in, there will be they will notify the staff, and the staff will be able to accept the order, and they can view the order information, they can view the customer information. And this app also works with the thermal printer in the restaurants. So with just one click of a button, the receipts will be able to print on the front, and then the work order will be able to print in their kitchen. And the operation management is also built with Ionic with Vue.js. It authenticates against the DNN and allow only for internal access. and I hosted that on Netlify. So I'll switch it to show. So this is I'm just sort of simulating that in the browser with the mobile app, but this is basically what the customer will see on the mobile app when they place an order. And as you can see, like all this sort of interactions is very app-like. And yeah, Ionic did a really good job on sort of be able to build something easily. You can build something easily, but then when it's you can target different platforms. So for iOS and Android, they have different sort of behavior in the UI, and Ionic handle all of that for you. So they can place they can add something item, they can go through a checkout. And this is simulating the mobile app. And this is on the web. So if people are placing an order, let's say if they're in a company, they're placing an order, then they would be able to use a computer and using web to be able to place an order. I would also show this is the operations management Ionic app that I built with Vue.js. So for example, if I go to restaurant, let's put one of these up here. This is so that easily for the operator be able to sort of handle order issues when there's a problem with the customer. Sort of searching as well, and we'll grab all those information back. Yeah, so that's pretty much the sort of a quick walkthrough of sort of the different apps and systems that I built. I think the format will work better. Probably, if you guys have any questions, and I can just answer you guys. So,
hey, this is Jeremy. I just want to be the first one to just say this looks awesome. I'm amazingly impressed. All of this looks fantastic. Nice job.
Thank you.
I have quite a few questions actually, but I won't steal the show. Did you mentioned you used Tailwind? Did you use Tailwind in the context of the Ionic app? And if so, what was your reasoning for doing so versus using a lot of the kind of out of the box features?
For Ionic, I use this Tailwind mostly for for most of the custom styling. Ionic comes out of the box with the sort of the platform specific styling like iOS or the Android Material UI, but because of the design for FoodX is a difference. In order to be able to do custom styling, I use this Tailwind. And for me, my background, I originally started as a back-end developer. So for me, I know a little bit of CSS, but I never really sort of I'm never proficient with it. But Tailwind CSS is actually something really nice for me to be able to. I was able to, there's certain things, something small where I can just quickly change and be able to make changes without having to involve someone on the front end. And Tailwind it's been using throughout the different applications here. Like for example, on the marketing site, this is a DNN site, but it's built with Tailwind with a Tailwind theme, a custom theme built with the Tailwind. Same with the merchant portal here. It's also a Tailwind theme. Yeah, Ionic also, pretty much everything is using Tailwind for the custom styling.
Without getting too deep, I guess, into the details, did you find it easy to integrate Tailwind into the build system of Ionic? Or did you kind of do that separately from the Ionic build process? And did you use capacitor? I know that's a bunch of loaded questions, but I'm just kind of curious if you found that relatively trivial or if it was more complex.
in using sort of integrating Tailwind into the build process of Ionic is actually not too bad for me. Like I had to do some digging at the beginning, but it's once I kind of gone through it once, it's actually not too bad. It's also currently it's also using capacitor. Yeah, I was trying to, currently it's on the Ionic 5, but I'm planning to sort of upgrade it to Ionic 6 pretty soon. It's using capacitor because I think that's a better direction to take instead of using the old Cordova stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. Capacitor 3 or 2, just out of curiosity.
It'll probably be the one that comes out of the box with the Ionic 5 right now. But yeah, I'm planning to upgrade it to the latest pretty soon.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I was going to give somebody else an opportunity to ask questions, but I got one more while others are thinking. Did you decide to publish it as a PWA? If so, why? If not, why?
For the, I'm still a little bit hesitant on the PWA. I probably need to just do more testing and making sure, but that is something I want to build towards, because I think there's for users, all of them, they might not necessarily want to install an app. There's that sort of difficult, that huddle to kind of go through before people kind of trust your your product or your services you're building. And having PWA is something that quickly can get whatever applications you have to onto people's phone. They can just add a shortcut onto their phone, and then you'll be pointing at this. And with Ionic, it's all in one code base, so managing it should be very easy.
Yeah, because I could definitely see some benefits to not doing it as a PWA and just building it on the website. But of course, that's more overhead and work, to do. I was just curious the thought process that you went through to make those decisions.
The PWA definitely is a little bit tricky with the service worker, and sometimes you might run into issues with updates. Sometimes they will cache your applications, and you might not get the latest update. But I think Ionic, they have a system in place with the deployment. I haven't kind of gone through that. I probably need to do some more digging, but I believe they should be able to have something that will be able to sort of handle those problems, so you have to run into issues with the different builds. Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever need any help with the PWA stuff, just let me know. I've recently gone through the bit of the learning curve of that.
Right.
And it ended up being a lot more simple than I thought it was going to be. But there's definitely some pitfalls and gotchas there that you have to take care of. And are you using, just again out of curiosity, are you using Ionic App Flow for your build process and live deploy?
Yes. I've been, I think that's an easier way for me to manage, instead of sort of owning, having multiple different devices and building that on my own. And it's App-Flow. It takes a little bit of setup, but once you get it going, it's very easy for the CDCI stuff. Yeah.
Very good. Sorry for all the Ionic related questions, everybody. Do we have any DNN kind of related questions? Like I noticed you use Vue JS for your development there.
So I can even show a little bit of code here. So this screen, for example, like I actually prefer doing Vue with Ionic, and it's just a lot of stuff is just I find it better comparing to Angular. So for example, this is a sort of a custom component I built. It's supposed to just copy the information to supply here, and this is the whole sort of the copy. This is the copy button code, and that is just being reused throughout the different areas in the project. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, they've come a long way with the view support there.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this whole thing, I built it onto the web, towards a web platform, and then just host it on Netlify. And it's just because it's mostly just JavaScript and HTML and CSS, so there's virtually no hosting costs related to it.
Yeah. So like, did you have trouble in the decision process of whether or not to host the web UI in DNN versus standalone integrated with DNN? Or, I mean, was there a bit of thought went around that, and kind of why you chose one versus the other?
Yeah, in terms of like for SEO purposes, for something with your sort of public facing with marketing, I will still stick with a DNN site. And because the content will also need to be maintained by, I guess, someone from the marketing side, so they would have the ability to be able to go in and update the content. But for something sort of more of like an app-related application or app-related app type website, I prefer to build it with Vue.js and just deploy that on Netlify. But all of these works with the DNN backend, and that's the really nice thing about it.
I have a question about that. So are you talking, when you talk to the backend, is it a DNN API that you custom developed, or are you talking to Too Sexy, or?
It's talking to a DNN backend API that I created, custom API I created. So for example, like fetching the data in here, those are all the custom API I built with the DNN backend. So that the DNN backend really is that powers everything on all these different websites and mobile apps, and they all have one authentication. So the user management and the roles can all be done through the DNN.
I'm seeing this model pop up more and more, where DNN's really used for the back end of things, and kind of like a headless CMS, if you will, or app, especially app driven data.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
And I could see the benefit of doing your, the actual app itself on the web, just keeping that a pure view, because you don't have all the extra overhead and complexities that you would have to try to, forget SEO for a second, just the technical, overhead that you would have doing it that way as well.
Yeah, that's right. I think that it's starting to have this trend nowadays where a lot of CMS is going towards a headless, and it definitely has a lot of benefits in my cases where I don't have to worry about those. This is a very simple application that it's only for users to kind of interact with the system. It doesn't have any sort of marketing related content. So I think it's a very good usage of the sort of that headless CMS approach.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to speak this to, just for those that don't know, you mentioned Netlify, but it's becoming a pretty popular platform where you can kind of tie it into, a Git repository, like on GitHub or whatever, and your deployments become much easier in that context than it would be if it was in a DNN, because you're really just kind of managing a project and setting up your deployment automation to go to Netlify. And I think in most cases it's free, right? Is that correct, Denny?
Yeah, if your usage is not a lot, it's pretty much free. Yeah.
Yeah. Great option for standalone type apps.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I thought I would mention there's a question. Sorry. Oh, I was just going to mention there was a question from Ryan in the chat. Business question.
Did you want to ask that one on his behalf there? And
yeah, sure. Ryan was just asking he said, my question is going to be business related. Was this a client/restaurant related project alone, or has it turned into a vertical business model that you're managing like a service?
This is more, I think it will be more of a service, like a business that I'm building. It's not related to like it doesn't come out from some restaurant owner, but it's something that I built as a sort of a vertical business model, I guess. Yeah, it integrates with delivery delivery services like on fleet. So then for delivery orders, it will actually be able to send those orders to the on fleet, and the dispatcher and the drivers can handle that from there. So that's all. This I'm trying to. FoodEx is trying to sort of be that sort of middleman of kind of letting the information kind of flow through to the right places. Does that answer the question? All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Ryan's connected now or not. He may chime in on the, okay, he says impressive in the chat there. Yeah. So more of a software as a service type setup here then. Yeah. Have you had nice engagement with restaurants, or is it kind of a battle to get people onboarded?
It's sort of it's still starting. A lot of restaurants find success on using this. Some they find more success with not only this handles the sort of the people placing pickup order, picking delivery order. We also have this. It's very easy to set up scan to order. So we print these QR code for the restaurants, and where they would just put it on a different table, and people scan those QR code. It actually goes to the ordering interface. Customer can just place their order on the table. Once it's submitted, it all goes into the same app where the restaurant will manage their pickup or delivery order. So there will be a dine-in order instead, and they hit one button, and the order goes to the kitchen with all the receipts and work order printed. We have a local dim sum restaurant, one of the busiest dim sum restaurants in town here, and they find huge success with using FoodEx with the dine-in order. They save quite a bit of labor, because before they have staff actually handing out pen and paper for people to check the menu on the order they want to get. And then they have to bring that paper back to the kitchen, and then when the food is ready, and then they serve. So now they've sort of optimized that process, and they save a lot of money on printing those paper. They save some staff labor as well.
Does this replace their POS, or does it integrate with the POS, or is it kind of something else?
Yeah, in a sense, it's almost like a mini POS, but I haven't done any integration with like a popular POS vendors. But that's something that's definitely possible to build to integrate directly with whatever popular POS people are using, and all the order will just sort of flow through into their point of sale system.
That's great. I know that's here. Probably the bigger players in this particular space is like Chow Now. I don't know if they're present up there or not, or like a DoorDash or something like that, more of a delivery side of things. But Chow Now is probably one of the bigger ones around here. And that's one of the challenges with using those systems, is the integration with the POS and how that flows, for them to really be able to manage their business with that.
Yeah. And all of the restaurant, they have to kind of, with the order coming in, they have to sort of punch in that into their point of sale, be able to generate those receipts and work order. And this is the part where I wasn't trying to build another delivery company. I'm really trying to just improve the restaurant efficiency, and I think that's the area where this could help the restaurant.
Looks really well done. What other questions do you guys have? Anything you're interested in as far as use of DNN or any of the other tools that he's done here? I guess one question would be, like, for your web API side of things, do you tend to use an older kind of SQL model like DAL2, or do you use something that's more linked to SQL, or do you use Entity Framework? Do you have a preference?
I've been working with Link to SQL so since the beginnings, and I've been just it's been working really well for me, and I've been using that throughout my DNN development career, I guess. But I haven't really have the needs to go to look into the entity framework or anything like that. But I think, I'm not sure what Microsoft is planning to do with that Link to SQL. They might stop the support for that. Then I might have to look into something like an entity framework.
Transition would be pretty easy, I would think, coming from Link to SQL to kind of that.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself needing to use or wanting to use any particular templates in the DNN community for your web API project, or did you kind of roll your own as far as your pattern, for that goes?
I've been mostly just using my own stuff. I haven't. It's over the years I've been sort of building something on my own, I guess, and it's been working really well for me. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, great presentation. Thank you for joining to do this. I mean, are there any other questions? I don't want to cut it short here. We do have time if anybody has more questions for Benny. Thanks so much for presenting. Big round of applause from everybody. And there's the notes, clapping, applause. There you go.
Thank you, guys.
Jeremy, you're always prepared with those visuals there. It's really nice. It's been great to, there's contact information for Benny. I know you work with Aaron quite a bit there as well. So y'all reach out if you have questions after the fact and you're reviewing this or interested in some of the things that he's doing there. I'm sure they'll be happy to help in any way they can.
Yeah. You can always find me on the DNN community Slack and any questions.
Excellent. Well, I guess we'll end the recorded part of the session here, unless anybody else has anything to add or that we forgot. Thanks for joining live, everybody. And if you're joining after the fact, I hope you enjoyed this content. If you have ideas on new content for Southern Fried DNN, please let myself or Ryan Moore or Clint Patterson know, and we'll be happy to get you in the mix or try to cover that subject matter. There's so much we can talk about in this space, so there's never a shortage, I guess, of information that we could tap into and present on. So just let us know if there's any areas that are of interest to you. I'll end the recording now, but have a great day.